Hey HangTighters, this is MarC. So for the month of April, we're doing the Get Tight Fitness Challenge, which is full of push-ups, and a lot of you have questions on strengthening wrist. So I'm going to give you a lot of ways to strengthen your wrist. But hey guys, I found this YouTube channel called Cars and Water doing some mind-bending science experiments. Check it out. So you have to check out and subscribe to their channel by clicking here. So you'll find tons more videos of melting objects and disintegrated things on their YouTube channel, so make sure that you guys check it out, but be sure not to try this stuff at home because, yeah, it might not be safe. But make sure that you guys enjoy the video. So on to push-ups and how to get stronger wrist, okay? And this is, mainly for women, but a lot of men have issues with this too, so this really does apply to everyone. So, tip number one is the flexibility in your wrist, and that not only applies for push-ups, but, your entire body. You can't do a squat if your hips are tight, you can't lunge if your hips are tight. So things of that nature. But in terms of push-ups, you want to make sure that you flex your wrist at all times. So you can start by holding your wrist up and getting the other hand and gently holding it back, counting 10 seconds and then releasing. So what this is doing is, in the push-up position, your hand is on the ground where you're really lengthening this tendon right here. So if you can get your wrist and hold it for about 10 seconds, that'll help strengthen your wrist. And then you can also transition to getting on your hands and knees and doing the same thing with your hands on the mat, kind of leaning forward. That will also strengthen your wrist and you'll feel it, okay? And so don't go too far forward and overextend your wrist, but slightly, gently, and going forward, hold it. Same thing, about 10 seconds. And then release back, okay? You can also practice on rolling your wrist, just like this, in different ways. And if you're sitting at a desk all day, periodically, I like to do this. I like to really actually stretch my fingers because these fingers get really tight. So if you're able to do the same thing, so the first exercise, your hands out, and with the other hand, you're grabbing it and you're pulling back, which is stretching your whole hand. If you can then just maybe rotate this top finger and just flex those fingers back, that'll also give you more flexibility. So here, I'm just flexing my fingers back, okay? You might have to get the pinky, okay? You can also get some type of lightweight, okay? This is out of my power block. You can get it out can in your pantry, even though you shouldn't have too many of those, or just some type of lightweight and work on your flexion, just like this. So you're working on pulling that weight back, and this is really gonna strengthen your wrist. And you can also go side to side. So you're starting here, side to side, just like that, and rolling forward. Okay, so those are like the quick flexions that you could do in your wrist, and make sure that you do both. Just because your right wrist is bothering you and your left isn't doesn't mean that you don't need to work your left. You really got to work on both. So work on that first, okay? Then another reason a lot of people have problems is just their form. They have bad form and it's causing a lot of pressure. Now when doing push-ups, you need to make sure, while you feel as though it's all in your wrist, it shouldn't be, because if the weight is distributed evenly in your body, you should take a lot of that tension off your wrist, okay? So when you're in the push-up position, your hands should always be directly under your shoulders, okay? So if you're out here, okay, now of course, doing a wide push-up, that's different. But if you're doing a traditional push-up and your hands are not under your shoulders, that's already putting a lot of tension on your wrist. I feel that instantly. So any type of traditional push-up, tricep push-up, your hands are always directly under your shoulder, okay? And you have to make sure that your body is not hinged forward like this as you see here. Okay, that puts a lot of tension on your wrist. So you need to make sure at all times you're not like this, you're not like this, but your hands are under your shoulders, okay? Something else that's gonna help you, I say this all the time, your hand needs to be out like a high five on the mat, okay? You don't need to be like this, like you're being pritzy or something. So keep that hand out wide so that you can evenly distribute the weight with all your fingers, not just your wrist, okay? So that's two things. That's the hands under your shoulders, and that's your hands out wide, okay? Here, you need to make sure that your core is tight, okay? You can't do a push-up without a tight core. So if you have a fat belly, then, you're not gonna be able to really go down and come up as you need to. So keeping that tight, and then also making sure that you have pressure in your feet too. Okay, you don't want to act like you're flying and all the weight is in your upper body. If you relax, make sure that you're breathing. A lot of the weight should be in your foot as well. Now, when going down into your push-up, a lot of the, I guess, weight should be not only in your core, but your shoulders, okay? Again, alleviating your wrist. So starting on the knees, okay, when I come down, I'm coming over, and all that is in my shoulders, okay? It's not really in my wrist, okay? That means that I have a tight core, I'm going down, and all of it should be up here. That means you tighten your core, and you're going down, and you're coming up, okay? That's gonna help with the tension also. And I kind of just did it. And I did this on Instagram if you're following me, okay? Pausing at the bottom of your push-up is going to strengthen your wrist because you're not only keeping it in that position, but you're flexing as well. So if I'm up, my hands are under my shoulders, and I go down, and I hold it, that's also gonna strengthen my wrist. You can do that on your knees as well. You can go down and hold it, and come up, okay? Same thing. Now, going out wide, those of you that are doing your push-ups and you're not even paying attention to it, and your hands are doing like this, that's also bad form, okay? Keep your elbows in. If you keep your elbows in, you're gonna alleviate the pressure in your wrist, okay? Just like this. Now, if you're doing a wide push-up, same thing applies. Even though you're out wide, you should still be able to keep those elbows in and go down. So while you're doing it wide, you're working on different muscles, but the form should be the same. So if you're out wide, same thing, and that just means don't go out too wide if you're gonna sacrifice your form. So while I'm going out wide, my hands are, elbows are still in, and I'm going down, okay? And now doing wide push-ups, if you ever feel your shoulders, bring your arms back in, okay? That's also gonna help. So once you kind of master that, and you work on your the flexion of your wrist, you can transition to different forms of push-ups, okay? So one that'll help, if I had 2 dumbbells here, I could hold the dumbbells like this, and we've done this in a lot of my videos, and go down into your push-up. If you do not have weights, or if you just want to use this method, do push-ups on your wrist. So again, always start on your knees until you're more comfortable. Ball your hand up into a fist, and what that does is it keeps your wrist in line. So you're not having any flexion, worrying about this movement. So you're in a fist, and you're in a push-up, and same thing, keep the elbows in tight to your body, go down, and come up. You should feel really strong. That feels like a really good push-up for me. So you're going down and up. Okay, remember that you have to breathe, you have to keep a tight core, and your wrist should always be under your shoulders for a traditional tricep push-up. So again, I'm not going like this with my elbows out wide. I'm keeping them in, hugging my body, and coming up, okay? So once you do that, there's also things called wrist push-ups, which are way more advanced, but what a wrist push-up is, starting off, one hand out in front, the other hand is flipped over, and going down into your push-up like that. Now that's what a lot of gymnasts do, so if you're more at the advanced level, sure, work on your wrist push-ups. Beginner, intermediate, I wouldn't even worry about it, because I don't know if you'll be doing that type of rigorous exercise quite yet. But again, the wrist is just simply, hand is simply over, and you're going down and coming up. And you'll feel the stretch on the back of your wrist, okay? So not only stretching forward, the stretching back is gonna help you as well. So other variations of push-ups that might help with your wrist is, bear crawl. So if you Google bear crawl, or if you're taking boot camp classes, I'm sure you're really aware of this. You're constantly, and we've done this in a video before, you're constantly doing like this, right? So if you can get accustomed to doing bear crawl push-ups where you're on the balls of your feet and you're going down, okay, that's putting a lot of it in your shoulder, taking it off of your wrist, and you should feel that. So you're simply just going down, just like that. And yes, it's a chest exercise, but it'll help you with your wrist as well. Then you can do things such as mountain climbers, where again, your hands are always under your shoulders, and you're up in the runner's position and going back and forth. Okay, that's also gonna help your wrist. And just hanging out in a plank is gonna help your wrist. Okay, remember, proper form. We don't wanna be back here, and we don't wanna be up here. Hands under the shoulders, engaging the core will strengthen your wrist. Tilting over, one hand, side planks will also strengthen your wrist. And then lastly, you can do things such as tricep dips on the back of the couch, you know, and you can just Google tricep dip or look at a previous video of mine, and that will also help. If you don't want to use anything, you can also do your tricep dips here. So my hands are out front, I'm just gonna put them right beside me, and I'm going to just lift my body up, just like this. And this will also strengthen your wrist because it's the same thing as a push-up. A push-up, your hands here, and you're doing that bending motion. Same thing here, up, push up, just like that, okay? And you can also, you know, don't worry about starting on the ground with your push-ups. You can start on something elevated. And I give a lot of variations on my Instagram, so make sure that you guys are following me there. I give variations for beginners every week. So try those, and I hope they help, and I'll see you later.